Unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware of the terrorist attack that took place on the 14th of December of 2025 at a place called Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, during a Hanukkah celebration, which authorities have since determined was an anti-Semitic attack targeting the Jewish community, specifically on the first day of Hanukkah during a celebration they were having there called Chanukah by the Sea, which is something that they do traditionally every year there, apparently. The attack took place between 6:45 and 6:47 p.m. local time and lasted approximately 10 to 11 minutes. And in this video, what I want to do is break down the timeline of events, what took place, some acts of heroism that happened during the attack, some after-action responses from public officials across the globe, and a little bit more information breaking down who these people were that perpetrated this attack, as well as some of the people that lost their lives, unfortunately, as a result. So we'll cover all that in this video, and that way it kind of puts together all the different reports that happened into a nice, crisp package, because there's a lot of different videos covering all these different points that were all over the place, and this will package it up so that way you can watch one video and see what actually happened. All right, so let's get into it. So, started at 6:45, 6:47 p.m. local time on December 14th of 2025 at Bondi Beach in a place called Archer Park near a playground and the Bondi Pavilion, which is right next to Bondi Beach. Now, the two gunmen that opened fire did so from an elevated position on this pedestrian bridge that happened to be there, targeting the Jewish community. The event was attended by over 1,000 people. So it's a target-rich environment for them, which is why they picked this location specifically. Now, like I said before, the attack lasted approximately 10 to 11 minutes, and there were dozens of shots fired by both attackers. And of course, panic ensued as soon as shots started being fired. At first, people thought that there were fireworks being shot off, so they weren't sure what was going on. They didn't know that there was gunshots. And so people didn't react immediately. They thought that there was some fireworks happening, and so they didn't, respond. And then once they started seeing people were being shot, then people started freaking out. And obviously the beaches cleared out very quickly. People were fleeing for their lives. They were fleeing along the beach and into surrounding streets. Bystanders were performing aid on people that were getting hit. Police responded pretty quickly, trying to engage the gunmen. However, there were a lot of interviews that happened where people said that the police were afraid to act. I mean, I saw one specific interview from a bystander, an old man, an old Jewish man that watched this thing unfold. Here's a clip from that.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, there was two shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge, and just started to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back. Nothing, they are froze. It looked like 20 minutes, and they shoot. The guy changed magazine. I look at him all the time. I was with 2 of my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol, and just shoot. And the other one was under. They start to come close to the audience. One of the people took his rifle and shoot him. That's one of them. That's what I saw. I didn't know how much I saw, but.
Who were they targeting?
Oh, all the crowd. Anyone. Jewish. Just shoot. Doesn't matter who. Men, all, kids, everyone. No.
Did they say anything?
I couldn't hear. The shooting was so loud, we couldn't hear if they say. I was too far. He was on the bridge, I was near the tent, so. But I saw, I look at him, I look what he shot, I look at his rifle, he aimed, he really take his time. He should take his time. And 4 policemen there didn't give fire back. I don't understand why.
What was going through your mind?
Nothing. I'm Israeli. I'm familiar with this situation, but it's terrible in the middle of Bondi. It's terrible.
What was tonight supposed to be about?
Hanukkah events. Jewish Hanukkah events, we do it every year. Sunday, first day of Hanukkah, we do it here. For me, it's not. I'm get used to that, but.
What is this?
Try to kill us, this, terrorism, try to kill Jews. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are. You kill a Jew. That's it. And it's time to people in Australia to start to understand we are not a target. We are civilian like you. We do the same thing. There is no reason that we feel not safe here in our country. This is our country. This is how we live, where we live. We need to feel safe.
Is your
That's
family
it.
safe? Is your family okay?
I come with 6 kids, and thanks God, yes, everybody's safe.
Okay. And what did you see? The people who? What did you see? Anyone injured? Did you
I see 6 people dead and 6 people injured. 6 or 7 people injured.
What words come to mind? How do you describe this moment?
I was a soldier, so I just checked that my kid is okay, that everybody around me is okay. Call medical people for the injured, and that's what I can do, to collect my kids and run away to the car.
You were a soldier in Israel?
Yeah.
Did you ever expect a war zone at Bondi Beach?
But I know it's come one day. I know it's come one day. I saw many incidents. I know it's come one day, but not that level. No, I thought one gun car, one shoot, one bullet, not 20 minutes.
What's your name, please?
My name is Shmulik.
Could you spell it for me, please?
SHMULIK.
And your surname?
Scuri. SCURI.
Thank you so much.
Now, there were a lot of bystanders that were helping and performing first aid. There's a lot of volunteers out there that were just performing life-saving assistance on people that were shot all over the place. There's a lot of folks trying to help. Now, police did respond pretty quickly. It took about 10 minutes or so, but they ended up engaging the gunman and neutralizing one of them at the scene, which turns out that it was a father and a son perpetrating this attack. They ended up neutralizing the father and critically injuring the son. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon and the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese both declared this a terrorist incident, which was motivated by anti-Semitism. And this is Australia's second deadliest attack since the 1996 Port Arthur massacre, but it's the deadliest terror incident in the country. In addition to the gunshots all over the place, there was an improvised explosive device which was found in the nearby attacker's vehicle, but it was neutralized by bomb squads. Now, the majority of the reports I've seen coming out of this say that at least 15 civilians lost their lives as a result of this attack, with victims' ages ranging anywhere from 10 to 87 years old, including children, a Holocaust survivor, rabbis, and also community leaders. That also includes one of the gunmen as well. There's been 40 plus people reportedly wounded, with dozens of them hospitalized, 26 to 40 remaining in care as of December 15th of 2025. A lot of these injuries include gunshot wounds, several in critical condition, including 2 police officers. Now, this attack was carried out by 2 individuals, a father and a son. And the father apparently was shot and killed at the scene, while the son was shot, injured, and was rushed to the hospital to keep him alive. The 10-year-old girl who was shot was named Matilda in some reports. Apparently her name was Matilda Poltavchenko, 10 years old. Apparently there was also a Holocaust survivor, like I said, that was shot by the name of Alex Kleitman. Imagine going through all that, surviving up till now, only to get shot by somebody else. The whole damn thing's tragic. A retired police officer also lost their lives, a young French national, among lots of others. Now, the 2 attackers, one of them was named Sajid Akram. The other one is Naveed Akram. Sajid was 50 years old. He was a licensed firearms holder with 6 registered guns, all of which have been recovered. He arrived in Australia in 1998 on a student visa, which he later ended up obtaining residency, and he was shot and killed at the scene. His son, Naveed Akram, who is 24 years old, was an Australian-born citizen and was critically injured and brought to the hospital, expecting to face charges. He was apparently previously assessed by the Australian Security Intelligence Organization in 2019 due to ties to a Sydney-based Islamic State cell. Now, we're going to come back to Sajid because Sajid Akram, his father, was disarmed by another man by the name of Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who was a local fruit shop owner and also local resident of Sydney. And we'll come back to that. Now, the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, called this terrorist attack a targeted attack on Jewish Australians and an act of pure evil, horrific anti-Semitism. He also went on the news and said that he vowed to strengthen Australia's gun laws to make them even more restrictive, which would be the first major overhaul since the 1996 gun law restrictions that they put on national firearms registries and restrictions on licenses and all that stuff. Here's what he had to say on the news, right here.
We take ASIO's advice very seriously. We work closely with them. We receive regular updates as well. The Director General of ASIO has warned about a range of threats, be it anti-Semitism, the rise of right-wing extremist groups as well. And we continue to work closely with our security agencies.
Now, however you want to feel about gun laws, I have my own personal feelings, but you can decide for yourself. I'm sure you probably already know my feelings about these types of gun laws. But let's talk about why there were major gun laws put in place, including a national firearms register, and why they banned so many firearms in Australia. Now, like I said, this is the first major overhaul that they're planning since 1996. But what happened in 1996? Well, the worst mass shooting in the history of Australia took place in 1996, called the Port Arthur Massacre, which was a mass shooting that occurred on the 28th and 29th of April of 1996 at and around the historic Port Arthur site in Tasmania, Australia, and remains the deadliest mass shooting by a single perpetrator in modern Australian history. Now, the gunman was a guy by the name of Martin Bryant, was a 28-year-old from Hobart who apparently had intellectual disabilities with no prior criminal convictions, and he ended up killing 35 people and wounding 23 using semi-automatic rifles. Now, the attack targeted tourists and staff at the popular former penal colony site, which shocked the nation and resulted in all of the politicians and the federal government of Australia passing national gun law reforms, including a national gun registry. They banned semi-automatic rifles for everybody. I'm pretty sure they banned all semi-automatic weapons in general. You had to have a specific justification for purchasing any firearms. Like, you had to be like, I'm a hunter, or I'm doing this, or I own land. In any case, after this attack was perpetrated in 96, he was sentenced to 35 years to life, plus 1,035 years without parole. He remains incarcerated at Risdon Prison in Hobart. Now, obviously, this massacre prompted national outrage and bipartisan action, which resulted in the National Firearms Agreement. So within 12 days after this took place, the newly elected Prime Minister John Howard and all the states and territories agreed on the National Firearms Agreement, which banned all semi-automatic rifles and shotguns. It started enforcing strict licensing requirements, a 28-day cooling off period, National Firearms Registry, and a mandatory buyback scheme of over 640,000 firearms, which were surrendered and destroyed. Anyway, back to this attack that took place on the 14th. Now, something pretty miraculous happened during this attack. A man by the name of Ahmed Al-Ahmed, who was a 43-year-old Muslim Australian father of 2 young daughters, did something that most people didn't have the intestinal fortitude or the guts to do. In fact, he's being hailed as a hero for his extraordinary bravery during this time. Now, Ahmed Al-Ahmed is from Syria originally, and he's now an Australian citizen, and he owns a fruit and vegetable shop in Sydney's Sutherland Shire. He doesn't have any prior experience with firearms and was simply in the area having coffee with a friend or his cousin when the attack unfolded. Now, during the chaos of the attack, the 2 gunmen that were firing all over the place were really close to where Ahmed was, and Ahmed spotted Sajid Akram, who was the 50-year-old father. Now, the father, Sajid, ran out of ammunition temporarily, and so he was like kind of paused behind some cars near a car park on Campbell Parade, and Ahmed seized the opportunity to run up to Sajid and disarm him. He charged up to Sajid Akram and he took his rifle, which was a long-barreled rifle or shotgun, from his hands, wrestled it out of his hands, and briefly held it at the shooter to force him away. Now, he didn't fire the gun at him, eventually, Sajid ran off, and then Ahmed lowered the gun, propped it up against a tree, and raised one hand to signal to arriving police that he was not the threat. Now, in this commotion, he got shot in the arm once and was also injured in other places as well. But the bottom line is this intervention disrupted the attack significantly and likely prevented far more significant shooting and a lot more loss of life. Now, while this was happening, Naveed Akram, who was the second gunman who was on the bridge, was firing and shot Ahmed at least twice, apparently in his shoulder, arm, or hand, or multiple times, shortly after he was done disarming his father. Now, he's since been in the hospital undergoing multiple surgeries and was visited by numerous public officials while he was there. And apparently he's recovering well as of December 15th. He's at St. George's Hospital, apparently. Now, after Ahmed did this, it took a while for people to figure out who he was, but his cousin was interviewed by a local news station and said, yeah, he went in and intervened and, you know, this is what's been going on. This is the interview with his cousin.
He's in the hospital and we don't know exactly what's going inside, but they said the doctor, he's very okay. And next 2 hours, they let us to go in and see Ahmed because he's still inside and he do the operation. But we hope he will be fine. He's a hero, 100%. He's a hero because what we see on the social media, he's like is 100% hero.
To his shoulder?
Yeah, he have 2 shots, one in his arm here and one in his hand.
And have you been able to talk to him today?
No, because I come when I see what's happening, and I come here to see him. But they said he's not allowed to go inside because he have to make operation, whatever. I'm still waiting to see him.
Now, in addition to his cousin being interviewed, his mother and father were both found and interviewed as well. And this is what they said about the bravery of their son.
He has a fruit shop that sells fruit and other produce. He's been here since 2006 and he's an Australian citizen. What happened is, his friend told him, let's go have coffee at Bondi. They got there and were shocked to see armed men firing their weapons and terrorists. Their lives were in danger. He noticed one of the armed men at a distance, from him hiding behind a tree. My son is a hero. He served with the police and in the Central Security Forces, and he has the impulse to protect people. When he saw people laying on the ground and the blood everywhere, immediately his conscience and his soul compelled him to pounce on one of the terrorists and to rid him of his weapon. At the same moment, the armed man's other friend was on the bridge, or whoever he is. I feel pride and honour because my son is a hero of Australia.
I'm proud that my son was helping people. He saved lives, souls. God would not harm him because he was a do-gooder. My son has always been brave, helps people. He's like that. He saw they were dying and people were losing their lives. And when that guy ran out of ammo, he took it from him, but he was hit. We pray that God saves him.
Now, obviously, there was a bunch of press conferences shortly after this attack happened, and the New South Wales Premier Chris Minns had this to say.
This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah. What should have been a night of peace and joy celebrated in that community with families and supporters has been shattered by this horrifying, evil attack. Commissioner Lanyon will speak about the investigation, the police response, as well as the designation of this attack as a terrorism event in Sydney. I can assure the community it will be met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response. Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday. It's the responsibility of all Australians to wrap their arms around Australia's Jewish community and help them get through this incredibly difficult period. This is a massive, complex investigation. It's just begun, and there are things that tonight we don't have the answers to. However, we do have answers to some crucial pieces of information for our wonderful city and our beautiful state. The first one is the outpouring of love and support from ordinary Australians for Australia's Jewish community is real. Secondly, today is another example of the enormous pressure and responsibility, the danger that New South Wales Police regularly face as part of their job. They do it without faltering. They didn't falter today. We need them. And thirdly, tonight saw extraordinary acts of personal courage and bravery from individuals in our community. And I think it's worth remembering that in all of this evil, in all of this sadness, there are still wonderful, brave Australians that are prepared to risk their lives to help a complete stranger.
In addition to the New South Wales Premier, the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese also vowed to strengthen gun laws, as well as praising some of the heroism of Australians who ran towards danger during the attack. I also saw a clip of U.S. President Donald Trump calling Ahmed very, very brave and said he saved a lot of lives. Here's that clip.
And in Australia, you probably read it's been a very, very brave person, actually, who went and attacked frontally one of the shooters and saved a lot of lives. So very brave person who's right now in the hospital, pretty seriously wounded. So great respect to that man that did that. But we're here for...
Now, once people found out who Ahmed was, there was a GoFundMe-style fundraiser made for Ahmed, and I've seen it shared on Puberty and a bunch of other really big Instagram accounts that ended up accruing $1.1 million in donations within a couple of days. And here's the GoFundMe right here. Because, like, the entire world saw that this one dude was brave enough to try to stop these guys from killing any more people. Despite like religious differences, he didn't care. He just rushed in with complete disregard for his own life to try to reduce the destruction. Now, the community response after this thing included vigils in Sydney and Melbourne, blood donation drives, and memorials at Bondi Pavilion. The beaches remained closed for an investigation, obviously, with support services activated for victims in the Jewish community. And since then, there's been a bunch of other terrorist attacks that have been thwarted in different places, like one in Amsterdam, I think one in Brussels, maybe one in Germany. There's been a few other ones that were planned during Hanukkah season that have been thwarted as a result. Now, the two perpetrators of this attack, like I said, I wanted to dig in a little bit more on them. There were two Pakistanis, essentially. They're of Pakistani origin. One of them, the father, Sajid Akram, who was 50 years old. The other one, Naveed Akram, 24 years old. And authorities confirmed that they acted alone with no evidence of a broader cell involved directly at the time. Now, Sajid, who is deceased now, and also the one that was disarmed by Ahmed, was 50 years old, arrived in Australia in 1998 on a student visa from Pakistan, and transferred to a partner visa in 2001, later held resident return visas. He owned a fruit and vegetable shop. He ended up holding a valid Category AB firearms license for approximately 10 years, which required a demonstrated special need, i.e. recreational hunting / vermin control. Now, he was linked to 6 registered firearms, including long guns, shotguns, and rifles, all believed to have been recovered after the attack from New South Wales police. Now, Sajid was killed by police at the scene during an exchange of gunfire on the bridge. Apparently, he lived with family in Bondi, Sydney's southwest. Now, Naveed Akram, who is his son, who's hospitalized now, is 24 years old. He was an Australian-born citizen in 2001, lived in Bondi with his parents and younger siblings. He attended Cabramatta High School, studied briefly at Al Murad Institute in Western Sydney, which he studied in Islamic studies, and was recently unemployed after working as a bricklayer, apparently. He was described by his family as not particularly social. And like I said, he was assessed by Sydney's intelligence office in October of 2019 for 6 months due to close ties with a Sydney-based Islamic State terrorism cell, but was not considered an immediate threat at the time. Now, the big reason why people figured out who he was because his driver's license got released through open source intelligence reporting showing him wearing a Pakistani cricket jersey. And so that's kind of how people started connecting dots really quickly. The two of them basically told their family they were going on a weekend fishing trip to Jervis Bay, which is a New South Wales South Coast area. And they ended up staying in a short-term rental in Campsie, which is Sydney's southwest, before the attack. CCTV footage actually captured them leaving around 5:15 p.m. on December 14th en route to where they were going to stage the attack. They traveled to Bondi in a vehicle containing IEDs, or improvised explosive devices, which were later neutralized by bomb squads. And apparently they had Islamic State flags in the car. Now, Naveed's mother expressed disbelief in this thing because she said that the last time she spoke to them on Saturday, she could not imagine her son being involved in violence or extremism, which just goes to show you that they were hiding it from the rest of the family. Now, like I said, as a result of this, the Prime Minister has made mention of tighter national firearms registry and restrictions, and it's likely that they're going to tighten their gun restrictions as a result of this in general for the public, which sucks because that means that lawful gun owners are going to be punished for the actions of two guys. So, which sucks because they didn't have anything to do with this disgusting attack. So you can decide how you want to feel about that, but that's my own personal opinion. Look, bottom line is this was the worst terrorist attack in probably Australian history. And I think we should all be on board with being able to condemn this and say this is disgusting and shouldn't happen and should be dissuaded at all costs. But I think we can all agree that at least there's good people out there that tried to act quickly to prevent more death and destruction, like Ahmed Al-Ahmed. And I guess we'll have to wait and see what the aftermath of this thing does, what this causes, how the government changes as a result of this over there in Australia. All right, guys, that's it for the daily roll-up for today. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video from start to finish. Believe it or not, it does help support the channel because it encourages YouTube to share it with more people if people watch it from start to finish. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to support the channel in other ways, you can like this video, you can leave a comment in the comments section below, or you can share this video with your friends, and all of those will help support the channel. So thank you so much for watching again. And as always, we will see you in the next video.